I can tell you that the location of the water plant was because there was some property available at that site that was right beside the railroad track, right beside the interstate highway. It was zoned as a rural residential or RR rating at that time. It was offered to the city by the owner of the property because he could not develop it with additional houses in that area. And since he could not develop it for houses in that area due to the large number of residences that would be on a single street, there are fire limits as to how many houses can be down one single street. Since he could not develop it that way, he offered it to the city for a good price. Being close to the river does have some advantages because some of the things that we're talking about for the future might be able to draw some water from the river. Also, it's very close to the canal, and it is our intention one of these days to start treating surface water coming along the canal as well as the deep water, undersurface water that comes from our wells. So the location fit that way. Another thing, the alternate location that was being discussed was over at the Cottonwood Corporation yard for the city, where there is a well. But the amount of acreage that the city owned there was way too small for a plant of this kind of size. So it seemed like there would be no problem with it. It was in an area where a railroad track, freeway went through, other commercial type things, and it was always agendized. There was never any decisions that were made or pressed in something other than open agendized meetings. And it looked like it was almost no question about it. That was the best property for us to buy. So we bought it, and then after we bought it and people began to realize, this is close to my house, they became very concerned and very negative toward the city, and we have had nothing but disagreements all the way along. And the city has tried very hard to provide a good, clean facility with a fence across the front, trees that are being planted in the front to screen it from the street. It's not an ugly facility. I don't think it's a detriment at all to the neighborhood. As I look at it, it seems to me like it's a very nice looking public facility with a Fernley sign on the front of it. But there's some people that just will never be happy about that, it appears, and have been continuing to try to throw up legal actions and have been totally unsuccessful to date.
Now, with all the legal actions between the water treatment plant and, we'll include the recall from so-called concerned citizens, I don't have a figure, but I've heard that what people of this nature have caused the city to spend as far as legal fees and administration fees, not to say they don't have a valid argument, but this is costing the city money every time there's a complaint.
Mm-hmm. It is true. There's been some question about what the right amount of money is that the figure that the city has had to spend. There's been disagreement as to whether it's a large figure or somewhat smaller figure, but I do know for sure that it has cost the city money to defend various different complaints that were made against the city in terms of law, and also a number of ethics complaints were filed with the state, with our city staff, and to our mayor. I know he was also in that category, and there has not been a single one of those ethics complaints that was supported by the State Ethics Commission. They were all dismissed as without merit, and it's been over 50 of those. There are still, I believe, about 3 of them that haven't yet been decided. But it seems to me like the public ought to get a picture of what's happening when people have spent hours poring over travel information, anything about the city's purchases, trying so hard to find something that was amiss, that was wrong, used a lot of our staff's time in letting them sit at the tables and go through the information, in copying data to give to them, and not one single element was found to be with merit. So it is costing the city a lot of money. I won't say what the figure is because I know there's been controversy, but it is costing the city a lot of money because of these recall elections, because of the ethics complaints, the lawsuits that we have to defend. And if our city could work together and use that energy instead to do positive things, to bring development into our community, which we need very, very much, rather than fighting and defending and arguing and burning up so much energy, we would be a lot better off.